Hey guys, today I want to talk about something very important, and it's how to sell yourself in the job search. The reason I'm recording this is because we've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people go from struggling to land jobs to landing awesome jobs. And one of the biggest things everyone struggles with is underselling themselves. They don't think there's anything more they can do to sell themselves, but there always is. There's always something amazing they've done, but they just haven't spent the time figuring out what that is and articulating it clearly so that they can convey that message and show employers why they're so awesome. So I'm going to give you one example today, just of how I think about this, to give you a bit of a framework for how you can then do this for yourself. If you spend some time doing this with your own experiences that you've done, you are going to be able to sell yourself so well, and it's going to help you. It's going to help you get more jobs, more interviews, and be more successful in your career because you have done amazing things. You have done amazing things. Pretty much everyone I've ever spoken to or helped with the job search, they've done amazing things, but they just can't see it. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can kind of take your glasses off and see the truth. I've helped a lot of different people get jobs, but my background is in consulting. So let's just imagine that you have worked to make this applicable to everyone, let's just use an internship position. Because if you can sell yourself in an internship, you can sell yourself easily in a full-time or more senior role. So this example should help everyone. Let's imagine you were a consulting intern with a small company, and what most people do in their resume or when they're explaining what they did in an interview or on LinkedIn is they just think, what did I do? What did I do? And they just put down some sentences of what they did. And just as an example, they might write something, a normal person might write something like, optimized, let's say, processes for clients. Okay? Maybe this is an example of a bullet point someone might use. And then they'll put heaps of other bullet points as well, like built Power BI dashboards and performed stakeholder management and managed project documentation. They just put at a very high level what they did. And whilst this can work totally fine, especially if it's a great company that you are working at, you can often sell yourself much better than you think. And when you do this, usually people are a lot more impressed. And it's not because you're any different. It's not because what you did was any different. It's just because you've found a better way to articulate it and to sell it to people. So this is all about how to sell yourself here. So let's just imagine this. Let's isolate this. This is one of the bullet points in your resume. And by the way, you can apply the same framework to any of your bullets in your resume, anything you've done. And so at the start, when writing a resume, so you can articulate to other people what it is that you actually did, a great way to start is just to brain dump, just to dump every single thing you can remember that you did. Just dump. Optimize processes, build dashboards, manage the team, served customers, designed this new user interface, built some software if you're a software engineer, debugged, performed technical support if you work in kind of IT support. You get the idea. Whatever field you're in, whatever experience you've got, just kind of dump everything down that you have done. But this is just layer one. It's almost like layer one of an onion. This is kind of cool. We've got what you did. But also, when we're communicating that to someone else, like a hiring manager, someone who's thinking about hiring you, we need to be really smart about how we do that because we want to show... The way to think about this is what you've actually done doesn't change. But the way that you explain it to people changes everything. It changes what they think about what you did. And you can, there are millions of ways to explain what you did. And what we're doing here is just explaining it in the smartest way so that they get really impressed. And you'll notice a lot of people who get really good jobs, they're not better than you. They just sell themselves better. They explain it in a different way. So this is what we're doing here. We're figuring out how do you sell yourself. And once you learn this skill, you can apply it to everything. And then in interviews and whatever it is, you will come across as a lot more competent and a lot more interesting. So the first thing I like to do is I like to do this thing called the 5 Ws plus H, and I'm not sure if that's the best way of explaining this. This means who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the way I use it is to just gather more information, to really dig in deep and know exactly, what did this person do? So then we can kind of repackage it into something a lot more valuable. But it's kind of like getting the ingredients to then build your selling points. So with this example here, the way I would approach this is, okay, how do we sell this person better? First, let's dig in to each part. So optimized processes. I want to know more about this. What specific processes were you optimizing? I'm just going to give you a completely random example, just off the top of my head. So let's say this was for payroll. So this person was helping optimize payroll processes. And optimize, what do they mean by optimize? I want to be clear on that. I want to paint a really clear picture for the hiring manager. Well, what they actually did is they mapped out the process for performing the payroll operations, let's say, within this business, and they re-engineered it to reduce redundant steps, and maybe also they implemented some automation for Xero. So that's actually what they did. They didn't just optimize processes in this specific project that we're talking about here. And by the way, this is what I would do if I was talking with, say, a client and helping them figure out how to sell themselves better. And you can just get someone to do this for you as well. Maybe show them this video, or you can just do it for yourself. It's often hard to see for yourself though. But I'm literally just asking, what do you mean? What processes? Or what did you optimize? How did you optimize? And you can see this is the 5 Ws plus the H. Who, what, when, where, why, how. So what we've done is we've gone from optimized to something a bit more specific. And the process is now more specific. And clients, let's go more specific here. So what client was this? And often there's information that you can't share, right? But let's just say, in this case, this was for a accounting firm. And you were doing this consulting internship at a boutique consulting firm. Maybe they specialize in optimizing processes and technology and things like that. So already we've started to gather more information. We've kind of dug into the what and a little bit of the who from the accounting firm. But now what I want to do again is get a bit more information out of them, because it's still a little bit bare to me. I really want to capture all this information so I can then sell it as best as possible. So let's talk more about the who. Well, we've talked about the accounting firm, but I want to know specifically, who within the accounting firm were you kind of talking to, liaising with? And maybe the client might say, oh, we were talking with the COO, the Chief Operations Officer. That's the person you were consulting. And also maybe within the payroll team, there were like 3 payroll staff who were doing this process. And you were kind of working with them to map out the process and to help optimize it. And the COO was the client engaging you for this project. So that's the who. So we've kind of got the who locked down. We've got the what pretty well locked down. Now the when. The when is quite a good one. Sometimes it's relevant, sometimes it's not. But this could be basically your time variable. So you could put something like, maybe it took 3 weeks to do all this. And the why. Okay, so why were you doing it? Let's just say in this example, they had to reduce costs because they were getting basically 3 payroll staff. This should only be maybe a 1-person job or a 2-person job, not a 3-person job. So it was a cost-cutting exercise. Clearly our processes are not enough efficient. How do we make them more efficient, reduce costs? And again, a lot of people, when I'm talking with them, they'll have this really high-level thing like optimize processes, but they've done all this amazing stuff. They just haven't even thought to mention it. They just haven't even thought to do that. It's just very high-level and vague, which is cool. But once you build this stuff in, it's way better. So this is kind of step 1 for me. Step 1 is gathering the data. Who, what, when, where, why, how. I'm digging into it. Step 2 for me is more about impact. So what I'm then asking people, if possible, by the way, if possible, sometimes it is totally fine. Sometimes in your resume or in your interview or whatever, you don't have to go into all the impact. This is just the cherry on top that can really add a level of impressiveness to your resume and how you interview. But you could go into your resume now, and instead of putting optimized processes for clients, you could literally put mapped, re-engineered, and automated parts of the payroll process for the COO at an accounting firm in 3 weeks. That's already quite a nice bullet point, right? It's way better than this. Like infinitely better. You're painting a clear picture. They know what you did. They know how you did it. And it's like really getting them to understand, oh, this person has done some awesome stuff versus just really vague optimized processes. But how do you take this to the next level? With impact. Now, we've helped a lot of people with their resumes, and pretty much no one talks about impact. They talk about what they did. They maybe add the detail that we had here. Maybe they add that a little bit. Most people don't even do that. But they never talk about the impact. This is very rare. And why is impact important? Well, impact signifies how good you were at your job. Because anyone can say that they did this project, but how do we know they were good? It's like if you served a customer, we don't know if you're good at serving the customer, we just know you served the customer. But if you served the customer and your store was ranked the #1 store in the country for customer satisfaction, and you were the highest ranking customer service rep in terms of customer satisfaction scores in your store, now we know the person's good, right? We need like some way of measuring. And maybe that's even a better way for me to explain this in the future. It's like a measurement or proof you are good. And it's the same here, right? And it's the same with every role. Ideally, we want to put in proof that you're good. And this is where I want you to flip from thinking about what you did to how do I sell myself? What can I possibly mention here that's going to sell me like crazy and show that I had a big impact and that I was amazing at what I did? Because it's one thing to do the thing and one thing to be good at the thing. It's like a salesperson, right? If I was hiring a salesperson, I have hired salespeople, most of them just put that they worked as a sales rep and they sold these products. That's how you usually know they're not a good salesman. You know someone's a good salesman when it says generated $60,000 by selling these products in this month, ranking the #1 sales rep in the entire team. So we want to know here, like, what are the results? How do we know you're good? And how do we do that? We look for indicators of that. We look for proof of that. So in this case, how would we know that you were good? Well, we'd know that you were good. We'd know, and by the way, we should also mention here, if this is an intern position, it's probably not realistic that they did this on their own. They probably did it with like a team of 2 or something. They probably worked with their manager. So you'd probably want to make that clear, right? You don't want to make it seem like you did everything if you didn't. You might want to say something like, in 2-person team optimized these processes. But don't sell yourself like helped out or assisted. I mean, that's fine, but you can sell yourself way better by saying, in a 2-person team, optimize. So you start clumping like, okay, I'm part of this team, and in the team we did this. It looks way better than just saying, played a small role in the team. It's better to, it depends on the situation, but this is how you can sell yourself. So how do you know someone was good? Well, in this case, we'd want to know, did it work? And the second thing here is estimated results or predicted results. Now, what a lot of people do wrong in my opinion, is they think they need to have perfect numbers to put numbers in their resume, and that's not true at all. Because in a lot of cases, you don't have visibility over the numbers. Like, you're just an intern here. You don't know necessarily how much it saved the company, or you don't even know how much the company got charged. Like, maybe this was a 30 grand project. You don't know because maybe you weren't involved with that, right? So in a lot of cases, you're not going to have the numbers and you're not going to know what the results were. But what we want to do and by the way, most cases, this is the case. Like, in most people I speak with, they don't know the numbers. But what they do know is estimates of the numbers because they have enough information to have a guess. And honestly, I think this is such a powerful thing you can do in your resume. You want to estimate the results. Obviously, don't be ridiculous. Be realistic. But just estimating the results, and if they were impressive, including them, is so amazing. So amazing. So for example, let's just say with this project, you know that there were 3 payroll staff and this was a full-time job. So let's say maybe you look on Glassdoor or something, Payroll staff, let's just say, get $70,000. And this is, you can make it conservative as well if you're estimating. 70K per year. Afterwards, they only need 2 payroll staff. So basically, you can estimate that this project was going to save the company 70K a year. Yeah, you could also talk about efficiency. A lot of people, what they do is they'll say increased efficiency by 35%. But to me, this is very weak because it's not believable. Like, what do you mean? How did you calculate that? So this is an example of the impact, right? So and I would just ask yourself, with your experiences, how can I sell myself? What achievements did I get? Like, if you got Best Intern of the Year award, we should mention that. If you got an offer to work there as a full-time consultant because of your performance, maybe we should mention that. If the client loved the project so much that they asked you to do another project worth $200,000, then you should mention that because your work was obviously so good that they told you to come back to do more. So you basically helped in winning $200,000 of new client work. So now, right, instead of having optimized processes for clients, we could say something like this. And again, this is off the top of my head. You might want to refine this further, but just to give you an idea, consulted, COO. Another thing I should mention is like the third step. One of the big things I love to do is numbers, if it makes sense and doesn't feel weird. Because, for example, revenue numbers. If this accounting firm, because this could be like a 5-person accounting firm, or this could be like a major accounting firm. It could be like a, I don't know, $15 million revenue firm, for example. So if you can find these numbers, that makes it way more credible. Let's just assume for fun that this firm does about $10 million a year in revenue, and that's public information because you found it somewhere and they got acquired or something. Just obviously you don't want to make things up, but often numbers are out there, or you know the numbers, or you can estimate the numbers, or you can talk about that they're ASX listed or something like that. But I mean, let's not even put that in there for now. It's okay. But if you did have revenue, it could really be cool. It adds a lot of credibility. Or maybe you know how many people were in the team. Like maybe it was like a 25-person accounting firm to map, re-engineer, and automate segments of the payroll process, saving an estimated 70K per year in staff costs. Or something like that. Like, just I'm making it up, but you get the idea. Compare this person. Oh, we didn't mention this was in a 2-person team. So you could probably mention that in here. Like, you don't want to make it seem like you just did it. But anyway, you get the idea. We've gone from optimized processes for clients to consulted CEO of 25-person accounting firm to map, re-engineer, and automate segments of the payroll process, saving an estimated 70K a year in staff cost. So this person you'd want to hire way more, right? And say this led, for example, to additional, just as an example, because when I speak to clients, a lot of them have these amazing things, like literally amazing things, and they never even thought about them before. But let's say led to 200K in new projects. Something like that, because they love the project so much they just bought more stuff. So this bullet point is really powerful. And the reason why it's powerful is because you're very specific about what you did. You've got a lot of credibility because you've worked with a COO, you've consulted a 25-person accounting firm. This adds a lot of credibility. You're not just consulting some fish and chip shop down the road. You're also very specific about what you did. You've mapped, re-engineered, and automated segments of this process. So it shows you're very analytical and you understand what's going on. You've also been specific about the process. So they've got a really clear picture about, okay, that's what they did. That's awesome. And what the impact was. So you actually had a real impact here. And honestly, the fact that you've even estimated an impact just shows that you understand the whole purpose of this project. You understand why you did this project, which indicates that you're pretty smart because you understand why they're going to be hiring you to actually deliver value to clients. And plus, it was so good, not only did you have the impact, but you know that it led to extra work of this value. Maybe that's what you heard from your manager or something like that. Now, if you are in a different field, that's totally cool. You can just apply this same process. Brain dump everything you did, look at all the different who, what, when, where, why, hows, grab all that information, look to see if you had any impact, estimate it. Just estimate the impact or estimate the results, and then add numbers if you can, revenues, add credibility markers, like if they're a Fortune 500 company, things like that. Obviously, don't overdo it and make it weird,